Hey, welcome to my first vlog. I decided to do my very first video blog post to announce the official title of my memoir. So we'll get to that in a second. First, I wanted to tell you that I flat ironed my hair, especially for this, because it's 96% humidity here in Nebraska, as it always is in the summer. So I flat ironed the front part of my hair, not the back part, because I figured you wouldn't see the back part. So I'm looking perfectly coiffed for our video talk today. So anyway, tale of three titles. This is what we're talking about today. So a lot of you know I have had a long and arduous road to publishing with this memoir project. So I started writing the book probably about 6 years ago. Just to give you a little perspective, Rowan, my youngest, who's now 8, was one-ish at the time, maybe 18 months. So it's been sort of long time in the works. And I originally titled the manuscript Graceful, not because I am a graceful person per se. I'm actually not. I'm quite graceless, at least physically. But just because as I was writing the book, I came to understand the notion of grace and the fact that God just lavishes His grace on all of us every day, day in and day out, no matter what. And I came to realize that even I was a graceful, full of grace person. So that's why I chose the title. As it turned out, when I decided to send the book to Steve Parolini, who's known as the Novel Doctor online, to do some professional editing before I'd even landed an agent, Steve suggested that that title was maybe not quite edgy enough or was just a little bit not right for the book. So at that point, I then came up with the second title, which was Leap Year. And I chose Leap Year because at the center of the memoir is really this period of about a year to a year and a half when I was making that leap of faith from unbelief to belief. And so I thought, well, Leap Year is slightly edgier and is just as good a title as any. So, funny story though about Graceful. Last year, when Emily Freeman published her second book, it was titled Graceful. And I love Emily Freeman. I have read her books, I own her books, and she's one of the bloggers that I read weekly as often as she posts. So I have to tell you though, when I saw that she had titled her second book Graceful, I died a thousand deaths of angst and envy. It just crushed me. I felt like, oh my gosh, that's my title. And, not only had someone told me that that title was not good enough for my book, but now here somebody was using it and using it really well and getting her book published. And, it was just such a hard moment. And I remember emailing Deidre Riggs and just like spilling my guts to her. Everybody needs a friend like Deidre that you can just be yourself with, no matter how gross or oogie you are and in what you're saying. And I told her the truth about just how envious I was that, Emily had titled her book Graceful and her book was getting published and mine was like languishing on my computer for years on end. But anyway, it all turned out okay in the end, and I got over it largely because I finally was able to get my memoir sold. And so when my editor at Waterbrook Multnomah um, started to look at the book, she decided that Leap Year was not going to fly because as a memoir, she just thought that it's pretty much spanning lots of different periods in my life. And so she thought maybe focusing on just Leap Year would be too misleading. So she sent me a whole list of like 12 um, titles and subtitles, and it was totally mind boggling. And so I printed out the list and I took it to my book club that night. My book club is called The Edgy Bookworms. and there's a group of, I don't know, it's like 7 or 8 of us women, and so they all like weighed in on the titles and the subtitles and voted on their favorites. And so then I took that information back to my editor the next day and I emailed her, and I'm sure that she was like, really? Nebraska Book Club is not exactly a focus group, but she was kind enough not to say that. So after a few more goings back and forth and tweaking and back and forth, we finally have settled on an official title for the book. And I'm really excited about it. And I think it's a really good fit, ironically. It is called Spiritual Misfit, a memoir of uneasy faith. And I love it because it describes me and my journey really well. I mean, not only was I a total misfit when, I didn't believe in God, but even, in this journey back towards faith and in faith and being a practicing believer in these last few years, there has just been a lot of times when I have felt like a misfit, like I just didn't fit for a lot of different reasons. And I think too that I think a lot of people feel this way. I mean, I think Christians who have been kind of born and raised practicing Christians all of their lives, I mean, I think deep inside, a lot of us feel somehow that we just don't quite fit in, or we don't belong, or we're not speaking the right language, or we have too many questions, or we wrestle too much, or we're just not, we're not the textbook Christian. And so that's why I think this story will resonate with a lot of different people. Certainly people who have experienced doubt and unbelief in their lives, but also people who really haven't had that sort of dramatic story, but have felt that discomfort of not quite fitting in along the lines. So I'm excited about that, and I'm really excited that on Friday, come back to my blog because I'm going to show you the cover design. And I know I'm totally milking this for all it's worth because basically it's summer and my boys are home. They're at camp right now, which is why they're not like in back of me making inappropriate faces and noises. But they're typically home, and so I have like 20 minutes a day to write blog posts, and that's really rough sometimes. So come back on Friday because I'm going to show you the cover design, and I really love it, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm just really excited that you're kind of along with me on this journey. I really appreciate that. So thanks. I'll see you soon.